What's up, guys? It is Friday, 7/10, and this background is the same cabin in Missouri you've seen many times, but from a different angle. This is my chair where I spend my time reading in the morning. You got the painting of Lord Chapman up there. My wife had that commissioned where it's an actual full-on painting. It's not just some sort of thing where they copied it and photoshopped my face in there. They actually put that. So if you see my some of my photos someplace where I have just the beard hanging down, where I'm just kind of sitting there staring off into space. She took that picture, put that face on it, and had them put the steel chainsaw in his hand instead of a sword or whatever the guy was carrying. It's again, early like 1600s painting or something like that, if I remember correctly. Pretty cool. We laugh about it, call him Lord Chapman. And so since that was kind of a joke, the whole Lord Chapman thing, my wife went ahead on Father's Day, she presented me with this, which is a proclamation from Scotland where she was able to get 1 square foot of land in Scotland from somebody who would actually be able to also transfer title with the land. So that 1 square foot was able to transfer the title of Lord. So now I'm officially Lord Chapman, which is really funny. Boy, I mean, come on, you guys just love the fact that Rizzo's willing to do these kind of things for me. So you thought that was cool, get me that, and then gets me this for Father's Day. I'm wondering what's going to show up, October on birthday time, or actually, next month. It was when I got in my accident in 2008 and pretty much had to, in a way, resurrect. I look at that as a birth date more than my actual birthday, because August 8th of 2008, man, I should not be here, but I'm here. So, the healing's going all right with the shoulder. It's the sling's driving me insane. I'm itching like crazy. It's causing me rashes, but I'm trying to not use it. It's actually feels really good. I haven't taken any medication, anything in over a week, and so it feels a lot better than I think that it should. So I want to use it. So I'm trying not to. I'm really, really trying not to. Mom's back working, actually. She's taking it easy somewhat, but she's still jumping on the phone and dealing with the real estate. Isabel is back to work. She's clear. She quarantined for the time necessary when she was found to have coronavirus. So those of you know who Isabel, she was my Samantha before Samantha, handled my calendar. And now she's back to work at the hospital with my wife. And my wife is still trudging it into the knee deep in coronavirus there at the hospital. They got a lot of it. It's amazing how much is going on right now. So let's jump into the markets real quick and see what's happening out there. But it doesn't look like there's a big difference in the market still. I mean, we're still hitting, still staying just under that 10-day moving average. We're still seeing money being poured in by the Fed at the 3.5 and the 4 is where I'm, spending most of my time paying attention to. So I'm not seeing a lot freaking out, but the one thing we are seeing that we are concerned about is capacity, because of all. So look at the 4; it has taken a little bit of a hit. So we might see it on the upper end of things. The 4, anything above 4% interest rate, we might see that it go up or cost more to get. So I'm focusing on the 3.5 right now more than anything, because that's where most of the deals are getting locked within that 3.5 and then the 3, because of the 25% down deals. So with that 3.5, we're going to see those really low 4 interest rates, because you have to have that margin. The 3.5 is exactly what they're paying as far as the return on the initial investment going into that pool. And then they have to have that margin to get us into those low 4s. If you're talking about 20% down 30-year fixed investment properties with 740 credit score and certain loan sizes and all that kind of stuff, you start getting the 25, you see it a little bit better, and it looks like the 3s, 3 is getting a little bit, seeing some benefits, actually getting into an upper channel. So then the one thing that we are seeing is the capacity thing, because when you're talking about the 2.5 and the 2, this is where people are doing their owner occupied stuff, and the owner occupied stuff still keeps going up. They still keep getting a little bit better here and there, and we see a lot of volatility in the really, really low stuff. So when we're talking about the owner occupied things with all this volatility plus capacity, we have an enormous amount of loans being requested right now. That capacity is going to cause possible impact as far as where the rates are going to go and our ability to perform when you're talking about people doing loans for homeowners buying homes instead of investors. So that capacity situation could impact close times, could take longer. Right now they're saying it's 30 days, but we're seeing in many areas where appraisers aren't able to get to it. I mean, no matter how many, there's just not enough appraisers out there to do this. So because of that, we're seeing that it might be taking longer. And it's not something we have influence over. Us lenders cannot influence the appraisers to go any faster. We can add, they're just going to add cost to it. So just know that appraisers could get more expensive in the short term, until things get settled out. So what is going to get settled out? It's a good question. I'm going to show something here that I'm seeing. When we talked about the Fed before, and where they're putting money, of course, into the mortgage-backed securities, well, they're also shoving money into the Vanguard ETFs. Just in the corporate ETFs altogether. This is the Vanguard itself. You look at what happened where the Fed decided to jump in. And we saw that came off a cliff, and they jumped back in and got into this. That's a big move in the market when the Fed decided to get involved. And what I find interesting with the Fed's involvement, when you start looking at the stats, I follow a gal by the name of Danielle DiMartino Booth with Quill Intelligence. She used to actually be a Fed insider. And we're talking about how, the Fed right now is a number 3 holder of the world's biggest corporate bond ETF. Number 3. The second and 5th largest holder of the Vanguard corporate bond ETF, which is what we just saw here. They're crowding out the natural buyers of bonds. They basically have unlimited resources. So what is the ramifications of this? Now, when we're talking and we're listening to what she's saying, how is the market itself going to know the natural relationship between buyer and seller, supply and demand going to operate when you have what she claims to be a very price agnostic buyer in the market, like the Fed, with unlimited resources dumping it in there? So now the relationship of what is the real value of these things is kind of at a loss. Then, because the Fed's doesn't care about market prices right now. They care about liquidity. And liquidity is not a problem at the moment. Liquidity, but what the problem is the integrity of the market, and the fact that, think about Japan and I believe Switzerland, if I remember correctly, they were referencing. They're ETF buying governments. If we become something similar to that, we're not free market anymore, which is basically what's happening right now. Then consider what happens if they ever have to divest. Yet somebody that's buying at prices that were basically pushing them up unnaturally to an enormous value when the real value isn't really there. And then they got to divest. What happens to our market? I don't know. This is all new territory, just things to consider. The other thing we have to talk about is, 30.6 million Americans right now are collecting unemployment in some form or another. Then there's speculation that 7.2% of Americans may not go back to work as a result of this, even when the market recovers. So when you're talking about that, let's think about what we got here. We've got a certain percentage of the economy is producing. A certain percentage of the economy is either on some sort of retirement or some sort of benefit package, and then you have a certain amount of the economy works for the government, whether it be a local government, state government, or the federal government. Look at the percentages that we have there. So where does all the money come from? It comes from the smaller producing part of the economy. And now we have that part of the economy has been threatened with massive job losses. Now we're down, we have 30.6 million people that were working before that are now collecting unemployment. And we have a certain percentage that may never go back to work as a result of this. Got to find some other way to produce to create jobs for them. We're also in a technologically enhancing a society that's going forward. It's really interesting to think about the dynamics of what is going to be going on after, down the road. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud that there's some things that we need to be really thinking about as we're going into it. So how does that affect a real estate investor? Why would I even be talking about that? Well, right now we have huge opportunity. I can't say it enough. 30-year fixed loans at this kind of rate. We know we're secured against the inflation or deflation, whatever ends up happening down the road, with what we'll be able to lock in today for 30 years. So the ability to take advantage of that, secure it if you can, to buy investment real estate, hold on to that investment real estate, because we know we're going to need housing. It will continue to generate your capability to service, or at least to build generational wealth, and for 30 years. And you don't ever, and we've talked about the value of money and where the velocity of that's going, and that you never really even pay back the principal. So we're going to get, I promise we're going to get into some other things about, the process and all that. And we're not going to be able to get into it in this particular filming here. But what I do want to put up here, I'm going to see if we can throw in a link here. I'm starting an expansion of the Quit Jerkin Off Initiative. So you guys are familiar with the books. I'll tag them again. The books, these are, it says right there, the QJO Initiative is the Quit Jerkin Off Initiative. Well, I'm starting a YouTube channel up. We've got episodes filmed. We've got a trailer out there. Let's see if we can put the link up for the trailer when this is done. Please click on that, subscribe. Here's the basic premise. I'm going to I have buddies of mine, corporate leaders locally, that we're bringing, instead of starting a podcast, because I've been a guest on many of them, rather than starting a podcast, I'm going to bring in corporate leaders from across the country. And I'm going to talk to them about what it took for them to get where they're at. What was the best, worst thing that happened to them? The worst case scenario could have ever happened in their lives, but end up being the best thing that could have ever happened. And I want to do that in an environment where we get to know them very well. Instead of just sending out a bio request and have them fill some stuff out and us try and talk on a podcast, I'm actually going to have them come in for a day. They get themselves here. We're going to go out either rock crawling, bow fishing, fly fishing, long range shooting, things like that. Do some stuff outdoors. Get to know them in an environment that's kind of pulls the curtain back. Right, you got to let some of your fears out a little bit in an environment like that, and then after that full day of getting to know that person, we're going to get them to break down what type of difficulties they went through to be successful. What do they continue to go through? Success is not something that we are able to ever achieve. It's something you got to keep trying to maintain. Once you get there, it's harder to keep it than it is to get there. Let me just tell you that. So we're going to talk about that, those folks, and I want to be able to get that data out to everybody in a really cool setting. So check out the trailer for that. Please go onto the YouTube channel, subscribe, and we're going to be punching out some episodes here. We'll be probably about September, but you're going to see clips going out for all of those short clips. So I appreciate you subscribing here. I appreciate the prayers from Mom. I appreciate the thoughts. I appreciate you guys trusting us with your business. And then also following us here on YouTube and following us on the next channel as well. Thank you.